Coach Dan here from Rise Above, and I'm here to teach you how to do a barbell deadlift. Now, this deadlift is no different than any deadlift that you might have done in the past. The only difference is the piece of equipment, meaning that we're still hip hinging, where we're taking those hips and we're pushing them back and then coming on back forward with that flat back through it. Now, let's talk about the barbell deadlift a little bit, and that it is different than like a kettlebell or a dumbbell deadlift that they say you are a little bit more restricted because you have a long bar that you're holding on to. Now, the biggest rule of thumb with the barbell deadlift is you need to make sure your hands are equal distances away from the center. Now, what I mean by that is if you look at a barbell, it's going to be broken up into several different segments. Say, and every time there's a grip change, meaning going from a smooth portion to a rough portion of the barbell, that means that is if you put your hands on each spot, you know your hands are equal distances away from the center. Now, when it comes to the hands, I'm not overly picky on where you place your hands. And what I mean by that is you could go narrow, you could go wider, go with what feels natural and comfortable to you. That's now going to go ahead and bring me to your feet. When it comes to the feet, they say depending on how tall you are, they say should really be where you place your feet, meaning the taller you are, the wider you're going to want to be on your feet. And I say really no more wider than your squat position. They say is what I tell for really tall people. And honestly, short people, they can go much more narrow, almost inside the shoulders. Me personally, like I said, I like to set up about where I normally squat. So that's where I'm going to set up for my deadlift. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is then place my hands. Knowing that, I say each grip change is an equal distance away from the center, I like to hold on to that first grip change and do a thumb's distance away. That's what's comfortable for me. I've been doing this for 10, 12 years, I say, so this is just what I've grown accustomed to. It might be totally different for you. Play around with it, find that sweet spot. So again, going ahead and grabbing that bar. Now you can see as I'm doing this, I'm rounding my back to actually bend down. Obviously we don't want to round it back as we're deadlifting. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to take those hips and sit them down. And that's going to actually flatten my back up. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pretend like I'm trying to wrap that bar around me. What this is going to do is it's going to create additional tension, they say, through your upper back to make sure you don't have that roundness as you're going through your deadlift. So let me go ahead. Let me start over and I say from the beginning where find that sweet spot on your feet on what's most comfortable for you. Next, hands. And I say find that sweet spot you like on the hand. You can see I've got that rounded back. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sit those hips down. It's going to flatten my back out. I'm then going to go ahead, I'm going to pretend like I'm wrapping that bar around me, and when you see me do that, you'll notice how my elbow pits start to face forward. It's exactly what you want when you do this, those elbow pits facing forward, and then what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to actually do your movement, pulling that barbell up, and I say until you actually get a full glute squeeze. We don't want to lean back on this, I say it's going to hurt your low back. Stand up till you get a full hard squeeze on the glutes, and then go ahead and bring it back down to the floor. Let me go ahead and turn this sideways so you can kind of see what's going on from a side angle here. And again, that's setup. Find that sweet spot on the feet. Next come the hands. Say you'll see me drop the hips down to create that flatness through the back. Rotating those elbows or pretending to squeeze that bar around me, and then ripping it up and off the floor to then bring it all the way back down to the floor. And that's how you do your barbell deadlift.